Yeah, just excited. Thank Arizona. I think it's great to be able to do a series with these guys. I think there's a lot of similarities between the two programs. I think when you really look at college basketball for more kind of the recent history of college. I think there are a lot of similarities between the two programs. New blood type of programs with championship pedigree, and then obviously all types of NBA players with both programs. So exciting NBA players, championship pedigree. Just awesome to be able to do a home and home with these guys and just bring a great night of college basketball on Wednesday night, 2 stores and nationally. So just excited that that Tommy wanted to do the series, and obviously more excited about the game here than the game there next year, because they've got one hell of a hard place to win a college basketball game. I think one of the top atmospheres in the country there. So we're going to need that type of atmosphere here tomorrow night, because we're going to need the advantage, because these guys are really good and really well coached and really physical.
Dan, when you see or hear of students camped out outside Gampel on Monday before a game is played Wednesday night, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, it's what makes college basketball so special. I don't know, they're probably not doing that for a whole lot of other sports. It's like the culture of the college basketball fan, and that there's I think playing these types of games in the non-conference, going away from MTEs and playing the home and home, or playing a game at MSG or in a cool neutral, gets the type of attention you want for the sport in November and December. Obviously, we capture the imagination of the country for March Madness, but we all got to be willing to play more games like this against each other to get this type of interest. But the culture of college basketball fan, it's a special atmosphere. People that were at TD Bank or TD Garden Arena in Boston that were there for that atmosphere, that's different than you get. There's the passion, the emotion, the tension that you get for college basketball games is different than you're going to get for other sports.
What type of matchup is this going to be tomorrow in your mind?
Yeah, I'm big. They're a big physical team. Again with Koa Pete and Burries, but you've got 2 of the best freshmen in the country. Obviously, 2 one and done level freshmen. Koa Pete's really special in his own right. But then also, just the front court, just physical front court, a 2 center system that reminds me a lot of what we had here, and what we potentially could have, at that position as Eric develops. Excellent play from the point guard position, one of the best point guards in the country, a senior, and it's amazing to see his growth from when we saw him when he was at Alabama a couple of years back. And, just a classy program, NBA level talent, extremely well coached, and, clearly looks like a team that, is going to be contending for the championships this year.
The second game in a row, you're going to be facing a freshman who could be a high draft pick. You look at, and then you might have Peterson coming up, although I guess he's hurt right now, but you just look at this freshman class this year. How special does it seem to be? Maybe better than normal. And the second part of that is, when Braylon returns, will he fit right in with that?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think that COVID class, now disappearing is made incoming freshmen even more important. So there's less inventory out there in terms of just going in the portal, that way. So I think recruiting the right type of high school players is important, for him. Yeah, I mean, he's a very unique player. I mean, the family pedigree is amazing when you really look at the Pete family and just the success they've had. With sports and so just amazing sports and family pedigree, classy player, a real physical mismatch at that 3-4, that wing spot. He really challenges you, from the front of the rim all the way out to the 3-point line. He's a tremendous rebounder. And then, yeah, I mean, we haven't been healthy. I mean, we have not been able to get healthy or get the group together at all. And it'll be really nice to get Braylon back. I mean, Braylon's is gonna have a big impact. Obviously, he's getting closer to returning. He's making great progress. He's been in some things in practice, so that's positive. And yeah, I mean he's going to make a big impact on the team.
Coach, you talked about you really want to push Silas to be better. Obviously, that BYU game he performed. Do you still stay on him, or what do you say to him for the next game?
Yeah, I just think that he can't go into every game's going to present a different type of game for a point guard, or for all players really, especially when you're on a team that has depth and has the type of talent that we have, where the game may present itself differently for him based on how they guard him and the situational basketball that occurs. He was put in more of a scoring position with the way that BYU guarded him and guarded the others. And, if Arizona makes adjustments either in their ball screen defense or how they guard the others or our actions, then, he's got to take the game that's presented to him, whether it's a triple-double type of approach, or he's got to go and score and get his own. But I think the one constant is, he's going to have to be at his best defensively in dealing with this matchup, both him and Malachi, because you're dealing with one of the best point guards in the country and a real veteran.
Yeah, Jaden and Jalen feels like kind of been a good duo there to be like defensive wings. Is that?
Yeah.
Do you expect that again tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of our problems the other night were foul trouble. It was not ideal just to have Solo over there in foul trouble. Jaden, who was having probably the best game he's played for us in foul trouble, that limited our effectiveness. So I think everyone in the sport is looking for 6'6", 6'7" wings that can guard multiple positions and make threes. And I thought Jalen played probably an underappreciated game. I thought he passed the ball well. I think we need him to be a little more assertive, and more aggressive offensively. But I thought Jaden Ross and him, if we get that, we're going to need both these guys to play well together tomorrow.
Can you live with some of the fouls against some of these big freshmen?
Well, I think part of it, the game got called. I think the game probably got called a little bit different in the second half, and then we also, I think that was more of a minor. That was more minor. I think the more major issue was it's November 19 or whatever the date is. Like you're not in championship form. It's like playing a full 40-minute game with fundamentals and discipline and sustained excellence is something that you develop into as a team. It's not something that you're doing out of the chute in November, at least for us, for where we're at, with so many people have been hurt, and a new team. So, I think we'll get better as the year goes on. I think it's just not being able to sustain it. And when you go back and watch the film, I think credit AJ and some of they made some really hard shots. Baker made some hard. I mean, these guys made some hard shots.
You talked about the team and being healthy. Is there any new injuries or anyone that might not be playing?
Yeah, you're just dealing with the bumps and the bruises from the other night, and really, you're trying to assess the Braylon situation.
Coach, do you wish that game counted for more than what it was? I mean, it's one game early in the season. I mean, psychologically and emotionally, that can be a lot on a team so early in the season.
I would say that just in that particular game, you're probably the first big game. You probably don't want to put yourself behind the eight ball, so there's probably an urgency level to every game that you play, but that felt like a pretty important game for us, and I thought for 25 minutes that we responded really, really well, and played at a really high level, all things considered. No, I think we know that we've got these six major tests that are, now there's 5 left of those before we get to Big East play, plus the Bryant game and these other games that we've got to be dialed in for too. So, you get on to the next one pretty quick.
What do you think about the matchup for Terrace with Krivas down low?
I mean, big physical. I don't want to, try to speak it into existence, but he's got a little bit of the Kalkbrenner, and that's a major compliment, as intense as the rivalry is with Creighton and as it was with Kalk. That he's got some of that. He's in the drop. He brings that rim protection. He's massive. He's an NBA player. Along those lines, I think that's what their ability to have the 2 different looks at center is what I think makes them is going to give them the potential to be a contender this year.
Do you like the progress Eric is making?
I like it. I think I got a little tight with his minutes the other day, but I think a lot of that had to do with Keita going out of the game and them being small and. And just getting a little tight with the rotation. Just in that first game, you have the big lead. The lead is dwindling. You kind of lose that window. You don't want to put a freshman center into what was a sinking ship, in that game. So we kind of lost the window. But yeah, I mean, his minutes have got to be. We can't play Terrace 32, 33 minutes in these games. I mean, the split is got to be, it's got to be more 28-12 or 26-14, or more similar to what it was with Donovan. I mean, Donovan had games his freshman year, where Adama had to go 32, 33 minutes, and Donovan had some of those short minute nights. I don't think it was how we feel about Eric. It was just how the game played out. But because of their front court, he's got to be ready to go tomorrow.
The annual question: would you ever think they'd ever share the court together, Eric and Terrace, or is that probably not?
This is the
Shedding
shit.
on.
I mean, this is your guys. I mean, oh my God. Who's that? A fan question?
No, you did it last year in one game. It was Baylor, I think.
Yeah, Alex. Well, yeah. I mean, Alex was out with the concussion, and Alex occupies. Unless you guys don't like Alex anymore at the 4. If you don't like Alex at the 4 anymore, I'll try. I think pretty much every coach in the country would maybe cough up their war chest and NIL to have Carabin at the 4 for them. So.
While we're on that, Terrace shot a 3 in one game. Does Eric need to sort of earn a green light there?
I think with bigs and especially with a guy like Eric, I think you've got to learn the game inside out. You've got to, I think, but for me, before I want my centers, shooting threes, just mastering the art of defending in the ball screen game. Being a physical rebounder at both ends, being a guy that rolls and put pressure on the rim because we've got a lot of shooting around that position. Be a guy that protects the rim with everything he's got, like a true warrior for us. And he's doing those things. And, and I think, you do get to the point now, I think in the season where you start playing the players to their strengths, and maybe you don't use, you maybe change some things you're doing on offense with him. There's different packages of things you do with him relative to Terrace when Terrace is in the game and when Eric's in the game. They're different players, obviously. So in a long winding way, I don't know.
First top 5 matchup in 20 years here. Do you expect?
I didn't want Terrace to shoot that 3 too, by the way. So it was in a stretch of like a couple of possessions in a row where he was experimenting.
Do you expect a really insane atmosphere, maybe the best that you've had since you've been here?
I think we need it. I think we're going to need the crowd to try to get these guys to play worse and to make communication so difficult. I just know from the places that I've coached. I mean, I coached there at Arizona when I was at Rhode Island, and like you couldn't hear anything in Arizona. Now, part of it was TJ McConnell was throwing lobs to Aaron Gordon over our shitty 2-3 zone and dunking the ball backwards, as Nick Johnson was also raining threes in on a team that was not ready for that moment. But I just remember certain places you go and play, like at Arizona, where the crowd is all wearing, the bear down or the Arizona colors, or you go to Kansas and you can't hear anything. So yeah, I mean, you need that. We need that from our home crowd. Like, they can't wait for us to start to play well. They've got to try to impact the way that Arizona plays with their communication. Try to be respectful and not profane and say things that are really nasty to opposing players and coaches, but just be loud and be enthusiastic and make it a fun atmosphere.
Coach, how do you feel Malachi's adjusted to his role here so far?
I think Malachi is trying to fit into a new system, new team. I think he's going to be a big reason why we have the year we have. I think once he settles into the changes in the style of play, the terminology, the principles and the system, that he's going to be a difference maker for us, the way Hassan was, for the 2014. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya. Appreciate it, everybody.